সৌমিত, ইউ আর দি হোস্ট নাও, ঠিক আছে?
ঠিক আছে।
হ্যাঁ, আমি তো বেরিয়ে যাচ্ছি, ঠিক আছে?
Hello. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, you're audible.
Okay. I am Shoumi, and today I am taking the class. Can I start, or should we wait for some time so that others can join? How many of you usually join the class?
It's around 25.
Okay. And then let us wait for a few minutes. Let us start from 11:40 then. Hello. So today we'll see another algorithm for minimum spanning tree. Yesterday, in the last class, you have seen an algorithm to find MST for a given graph, right? Hello.
Hello, can you be a bit louder? It's not audible clearly.
Oh, okay. Hello. Hello.
Yes, it's better now.
So previous class, you have seen an algorithm to find MST of a graph, right?
Yes, so we did Kruskal's algorithm and then the proof of correctness for it, and that's where we ended the last class.
Okay. So let us first recall some definition quickly. Someone can tell me which is meant by minimum spanning tree of a graph? Devoshi?
Hello.
Can you tell me what is meant by minimum spanning tree of a graph?
So a spanning tree whose sum of edge weights is the smallest. So it's not a unique tree. There can be multiple minimum spanning trees, but all the sum of the edge weights have to be the smallest of all possible spanning trees.
Okay, very good. And what is a spanning tree?
Spanning tree is a tree that covers all the vertices of a connected graph.
Okay, very good. And anyone from the rest, can you tell me what is the Kruskal's algorithm? Okay. Anyone?
Take the edges in ascending order weight and add that edge in that is making cycle.
Okay. So the idea was like for a given graph, we pick up the edges one by one with ascending order of weight, and keeping in mind that whenever we add an edge, it does not form a cycle, right? This was the idea of Kruskal's algorithm. Yes or no?
Yes.
So today we'll see another algorithm called the Prim's algorithm. This is much intuitive, I'll say. So today you can see my screen, right? Yes or no?
Yes.
Please cooperate with me. Today we'll see Prim's algorithm. So this is whenever we are trying to find a spanning tree for a given graph, it is much intuitive that we grow a tree unless the tree spans the whole graph given, right? Suppose this was some given graph. Hello.
Yes, you are audible.
Someone is telling me something, or it is the background noise. Hello. Okay, so if this is some graph given, say, and we want to find a spanning tree, then it is more intuitive that we start from any vertex. Say we start from this vertex and we grow a tree until and unless it forms a spanning tree of the given graph. Say we add this edge and this edge and this edge, and from here we add this edge and this, and then this and this. So this forms a spanning tree. Instead of this edge, we could have add this edge, and then also we will get a spanning tree. Now, since we want to find the minimum spanning tree, so here we can add a restriction that we'll add the edge which has the minimum weight. And since we are seeking for a spanning tree, we'll always have to have in mind that we cannot add an edge which makes a cycle, right? So these two edges are simultaneously cannot be added, right? So formally, this is the idea for Prince algorithm. Let us see an example.
Hello, ma'am. Hello.
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, yes, yes. Your voice is hello.
Hello?
Bit breaking. Can you please repeat the last statement? Hello.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you please repeat the last statement? Your voice is a bit breaking.
Okay. So
Hello.
yes, yes. Okay, let me disconnect and join.
Actually, it's his problem.
Oh, okay. Then others can hear what I say, right?
Yes, we can hear.
Okay, okay. Then I'm giving an example and it will be much clearer to you. Suppose this is an undirected graph with some non-negative edge weights given, and we want to find the minimum spanning tree. So suppose we also have given that from which vertex we want to start. Say from D we want to go some spanning tree and we want to find a minimal spanning tree. So intuitively we can add the edge which has one endpoint at D, and since we want to find the minimum spanning tree, we add the edge which has the minimum weight. Here from D we see that 4 edges are there with weight 5, 6, 9 and 50. So we add the minimum, so we add the edge with minimum weight with weight 5. So this one. Now we want to grow this tree. This is first of all we see that this is not the spanning tree, right? So we have to add more edges. So Now we find the age which has one endpoint either at D or at A, and among those ages we want to add the age with minimum. Here we see that the ages that fulfills the criteria that has one endpoint either at A or at D are this age AB, this is BD, BE, and BA. And among these ages, we see that the minimum age weight is 6, right?
Ma'am, are you writing?
No, I'm just sharing my screen.
But it's mixed type.
What?
The screen freeze type.
Ma'am, I think the screen is stuck. We are only seeing the Prim's algorithm heading.
Oh. Now can you see?
Yes, now it's visible.
Okay. So let me start from the beginning then. Suppose we are given a graph and a vertex from that graph, and we want to grow a minimum spanning tree from the given vertex. Say it was D. So intuitively, first we can add the edge which has one endpoint at D, and among those edges, the edge with minimum weight we can add. And here we see that from D, the edges are with weight 5, 6, 9, and 15. And so we add the edge with minimum such weight, and this is edge ED, right? So till now we have grown the tree, say T, and T has only the edge ED. Clearly, this is not a spanning tree at all for the given graph, and so we add other edges such that the edge has one endpoint either at D or at A, and among those edges we want to add the edge with minimum weight. First we see that the edges with one endpoint at A and one at D are this edge AB, AD, DE, and DF, right? Hello? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you see the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
And can you understand what I am saying?
Yes, ma'am.
So among these edges, the edge with minimum weight is AD, is AB. Am I right?
Yes.
It's
So we are
right?
looking, we are looking at adjacent edges to both D and A,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
But no.
Then it's DF, right?
Yes, it is DF because the age weight of DF is less than age weight of AB, and so we add the age DF. Right? And again, from this step, we look forward to the edges that have one endpoint either at A or at D or at F, and among them we will add the edge with minimum age. Can you say what age will be added from this step?
AB.
AB, right? Yes, AB. And so we add the age AB. And the moment we add the age AB, we can never add the age BD. Why?
Because then a cycle will form. Tree does not have cycles.
Very good. And moreover, these black edges will also can never be added from this step for the same reason. And in the next step, which
Yes.
will be added? Which edge?
CB.
CB. Others, is he?
No, I
is
think
it right?
it's EC.
Yes, very good. Because EC has less.
Was a 5.
So we add this edge EC, and this edge BC will no longer be eligible to add. And finally, which edge will be added?
EG.
Yes, very good. And we see that these red edges forms a spanning tree. Not only that, it is a minimum spanning tree. Okay, now let us see the pseudocode. So this is just what we are doing so far. We initialize T as empty set. T is the minimum spanning tree. We will return. So we initialize U as 1. That is the first vertex we are starting with. And when U is not equal to V, that is we have not yet visited all the vertices of V. So let UV be the lowest cost edge such that U is in the vertex set U and V is not in the vertex set V, in a vertex set U. That is an edge which has one endpoint in the tree we have grown so far, and one endpoint at the vertex that we have not yet visited. And in T, we add this edge UV, and in the vertex set U, we add the edge V, that is V has now been visited. And this way we proceed unless we get U equal to V. So now we have to show the correctness of the algorithm. First of all, the graph that is being outputted, it is connected, right? The algorithm we have constructed, the graph will be connected, right? Hello? Hello?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
So, are you convinced that the graph will be connected?
Yes, so we are essentially terminating the iteration when all the vertices has been traversed, so it must be connected.
Yes, very good. And can we have a cycle in the graph that that is outputted?
It's a tree.
Yes, it's a tree, but you have to prove that it is a tree. So I am asking, can the algorithm output a graph which have a cycle, which is not a tree? Hello? Hello? Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
So-
yes, yes. Yes.
Can you have a cycle in the outputted graph?
No, but I mean, in the example, we have seen that we can't by the algorithm, but we haven't rigorously proved it yet.
So can you guess why there will not be any cycle if this is the pseudocode?
So we are not returning to any of the vertices that has been traversed. Hence, there cannot be a cycle. So we can prove by contradiction simply that suppose there is a cycle, then there must be a v belongs to u that has been traversed, and that is explicitly the condition that we cannot consider those edges. So the graph cannot contain a cycle.
Yes. So at each instance of the algorithm, the graph or the vertices we have traversed and the edges we have added always forms a tree, right? Is it clear to you?
Yes, ma'am.
At final step, we also cannot have a cycle, right? So the output graph that is outputted is always a tree, and not only that, it is a spanning tree, right? Till now it is clear.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So the rest we have to prove that it is actually a minimum spanning tree, right? So suppose it is not. So if possible, let the This algorithm does not give a minimum spanning tree. Suppose you can see my screen, right?
No, ma'am, we are only seeing the overleaf slide till now.
Okay.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
Your screen is not visible to us.
Is it visible now?
It is
Okay.
now.
So now we proved that the algorithm indeed gives a minimum spanning tree. We have seen that the algorithm gives a spanning tree, and now we want to prove that it is indeed a minimum spanning tree. So suppose T1 be a minimum spanning tree and T2 is output from Prim's algorithm. So the sum of the edge weight that is in T1 is less or equal to sum of the edge weight that are in T2. And we want to show that actually these two are equal. So if possible, say this is W1 and this is W2. So if possible, let W1 is strictly less than W2. And say E equal to UV be the first edge encountered using Prim's algorithm such that E is in T2 but E is not in T1. And since T1 is a graph, T1 is a tree, this U and V must be connected in T1, right? Do you understand what is U? What is E? Hello? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
So E is the first edge that was not in T1 but in T2. And since T1 is a tree, this U and V must be connected via some path in T1, right? And so suppose suppose this was both in T1 and T2, and this UV was the first edge that was in T2 and not in T1. And say these blue edges are in T1 and not in T2, and the graph was with these vertex only. So okay, just forget this. So U was in T2 and not in T1, and since T1 is a tree, So UV must be connected in T1. Say the path P connects U and V in T1. So when in T2 we added the edge UV, the condition according to the algorithm was that edge weight of E, this was the minimum of all E prime such that E prime equal to U comma V prime such that V prime does not belong to the set S, or in the algorithm we took it as U. That is, we are growing a tree and from the last edge that was added was UV, and the condition in the algorithm was that edge weight UV is the least weight such that one endpoint was in the set we have already grown, and one endpoint has not yet been visited. Among those edges, E was the least weighted edge.
Ma'am, we are not just taking the neighbors of U, right? We are taking all the neighbors of those vertices which are visited, right?
Yes.
Here you are mentioning only the neighbors of U.
Yes, yes. So V is not in U and U is in U, right? Now is it okay, right? Hello.
U
Hello?
is in T, I guess.
U was in T, and as well as U was already traversed, so we put it in the set U, capital U. Here, this U was traversed. Can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
So U was already traversed, and T was the tree, that is the vertices we have visited and the edges we already added, right? You can say U is a set of vertices of T. Is it right?
Yes, ma'am.
So here this is right, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
So in T1, say if T1 union E we take, then this has a cycle, right? In any tree, if we add an edge, this will form a cycle. Can I say that? T1 was already given as a minimum spanning tree, and we add an edge to T1. Then we obviously T1 union E will have a cycle. Do you have any doubt?
No, ma'am.
So in T1, what can I say? Okay, wait a minute. And T1 union E, this will have the cycle which have both the vertices U and V, right? Because UV was the edge E and this was added in T1. So T1 already have some path from U to V. And suppose E prime was the edge that was first encountered in the path P, such that its can you see? At any point, this U during Prim's algorithm, say the instance U was added to U and V was not added to U. At this instance, from U to V minus U, this was a cut, right? Do you know what a cut is? Cut is just a partition of the vertex set G. So the vertices that are traversed, already traversed, and that are not traversed always forms a partition, right? In the given MST, T1, there must be an edge E prime connecting U in U to some V prime in V minus U, right? Do you understand what I am saying? Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
So, according to the Prim's algorithm, age weight of E must be less than age weight of E prime for all such E prime, right? Is this clear to you? Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
And T1 minus such E prime union E was actually T2, or we can say, if we take weight of this is actually a tree, a spanning tree, right? From any two cards, from any cards, if we add some cartage and delete some cartage, this will form again a tree, a spanning tree, and this has weight less than age of weight of T or T1. Is it true? Do you understand what I am trying to say, or you want me to start from the beginning? Hello. Please
Yes, ma'am, it's
feel
fine.
free to communicate, because as I am taking first time the classes, I am not sure what I am able to and make you understand what I am trying to say. So please feel free to communicate.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
So the copy is very zoomed in. So if you can zoom out and go through the argument in brief once more, like we're just seeing very part wise, so that would be good. Just a brief review.
Okay. Is it better now?
Yes, if you can scroll up and like just go through the arguments briefly once more.
Okay. 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 Let me start from the beginning. So at Prim's algorithm, we are slowly growing a tree, and at each step from the tree we have already grown, we add an edge such that the edge has one endpoint at the tree we have already grown and one endpoint at the vertices that are not yet traversed. And from such edges, we add the edge with minimum edge weight, right? This is the Prim's algorithm. And and while adding the edges, we also keep in mind that adding the edge does not form a cycle. Actually, the way we are adding the edges, it is very clear that no cycle can ever be formed, because we are growing a tree, and while growing we are adding the edges that are eligible and that has the minimum weight among the eligible edges. Is it right? Is it clear? What is the algorithm saying?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So now to prove the correctness, first of all, we have to prove the MST. So first we have to prove that it is a tree that is connected and acyclic. Connectedness and acyclic is both understood from the structure of the algorithm. Is it right?
Yes, ma'am.
And also this is a spanning tree. This is also clear from the construction of the algorithm, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So we have to show only the minimal. That is, for any tree T1 MST, if this is given and T2 be output from Prim's algorithm, then we have to show weight of T1 is actually weight of T2. We have to actually show this. So on the contrary, weight of T2 is greater than weight of T1. We already know that T2 is a spanning tree. And say let E equal to UV was the first edge that is in T2 but not in T1. So from the in the Prim's algorithm, the say some tree T1 say some U was some vertex set subset of the vertices and T is a tree with vertices U and T is common to T1 union, T1 intersection T2. That means the vertex set U is a subset of the original vertex set V, and we have added some edges between the vertices U, and those edges are common to both T1 and T2. And E was the first edge that was not in T1 but was in T2. So in the tree T1, if we add E, then we get a cycle, right? And suppose this cycle, and from that cycle, if we delete any edge, suppose the cycle was C, right? And if we delete some edge, say E prime from C, then T1 union E minus E prime, this will also form a tree. Is it clear? Are you convinced in this?
Yes, ma'am.
And this E prime must be an edge joining U and V minus U. Can you say why this is true? And it joining the component U and its complement. Hello. Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you understand why this is true, or at all is it true? What do you think?
Because both are disjoint.
Yes, both are disjoint. U and V minus U are disjoint. But why E prime will be joining them?
One in one part and another is in another part. So one
Actually,
vertex of it is.
actually, what I have written here is not actually true. If some U and U prime can be also in U, and there exists a path from U to V. passing through U prime can also be possible. Is it right? So actually-
Yes.
So the argument should be there exists an edge, say U1 in the cycle C that connects U and V minus U.
Yes.
This is the right argument. Why is it right and why the previous one was not correct? Do you understand? Is it clear now? So let me show you the argument that we have given. So first we take an MST T1 and an output from Prim's algorithm T2. If both have weight equal, then we are right. We have nothing to prove. So on the contrary, we take that weight of T2 was bigger than weight of T1. And E was the first edge that was not in T1 but was in T2. So before we add the edge E, we have the cut U and V minus U. And according to Prim's algorithm, E has the least weight among all the cut edges between U and V minus U.
Yes.
And if we add the edge E in this in the minimum spanning tree T1, then we'll get a cycle. This is very obvious. And in that cycle, we must get an edge which was a cross edge, that is, the edge connects two vertices from the cut U and V minus U, capital U and V minus U, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And so if from T1 we delete that edge, say this U1, this edge U1 that was connecting U and V minus U. So in T1, we first add E and then we delete the edge U1. This will again form a tree, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Say this tree is T3. Now, what is the weight of T3? This is the weight of T1 minus weight of E plus weight of E1, right? Is it true?
Yes. Followed from the last.
Yes. But this is greater than weight of T1. Why? So this is less than weight of T1. Why is it true? Because weight of E is less than weight of E1. Why? Weight of E was less than equal to weight of E prime such that E prime equal to some U prime V prime. U prime was in E and V prime was in U minus V. Since during the running of Prim's algorithm, we added the edge E. So all the cut edges between U and V minus U, their weight was at least weight of E. Is it true?
Yes, ma'am.
So, but this cannot be the case as T1 was the minimum spanning tree. No spanning tree have weight less than T1. Or if we take the weights were all distinct. So this is strictly inequality. And hence T3 has weight strictly less than T1. And this is a contradiction as T1 was minimum spanning tree. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Everybody? Feel free to tell me if there is any doubt or anything. If you want,
Why is strictly less than?
we can assume all the weights are distinct.
Oh, assuming that all the weights are distinct.
And even if it is not distinct, we can add small perturbation so that all the weights are distinct and it does not affect at all the run of the algorithm.
Can you say it again?
Even if there are some edges with equal weights, we can add some small, very small weights to the edges to make them unequal and run the algorithm. And this will not affect the weight of the minimum spanning tree. Very small perturbation.
But that will differentiate two trees, right?
Please come again.
From in the end, we are joining two edges with same weight.
Yes.
Then there will be two minimum spanning tree.
Yes.
It won't like whatever perturbation you said. How is it possible?
Actually, if two edge weights are same, then it does not affect which edge is present in the minimum spanning tree instead of which, right? Suppose weight of T1 equal to weight of E2 and T1 is a minimum spanning tree containing E1. T2 is a minimum spanning tree containing E2 and Ti, suppose E2 is not in T1 and U1 is not in T2, then if all the edges are same in T1 and T2, then the total weight of T1 and T2 becomes equal.
Become equal.
And you can use this argument to show that if some edges have equal weight and you give some small, very small edge weights added so that they becomes unequal, and then you run the algorithm on the graph with all distinct edge weights, the output you get, and the output was the output for the tree with for the graph with indistinct edge weights will be the same. The output will not get affected by very small weights you add to make the edge weights all distinct.
Yes, ma'am. Weight will be almost same.
So the correctness is clear to all, right? Hello? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
So you understand the correctness of the algorithm, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any question or anything you want me to repeat? Everybody understood?
Yes, ma'am.
So now the runtime. Can you calculate the runtime of the algorithm? Okay. This is the pseudocode, and tell me what is the runtime. What do you think?
U plus C.
Can you come again?
Order of U plus C.
Order of U plus
E set of edges.
order of, and then order of V plus order of E. You are telling,
E,
right?
yes.
Okay. Can you explain why?
Because we are traversing every edge and every vertex whenever needed. Because we have to when
Ma'am, one thing here, you insulated U equal to 1, right? What do you mean by 1? Is it a vertex in the
Yes,
graph G?
Yes, it is just a vertex. To run Prim's algorithm, the input of the input is the given graph, and you will be given a vertex from where you start growing the spanning tree. And that one, the given vertex is here we have taken as 1. This initialize U as, you can show my you can see my screen, right?
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Actually,
So-
1 means what is this one? I am just
And
confused. But
yes, this is just a vertex given from where you can you
So-
start growing
so
the.
in the initial step, first one will so the algorithm will look for all the neighbors of 1,
Yes.
and it will see the lowest cost edge, right? Then again, it will go, if it is V, 1 to V, then it will look for all the edges of V and also the edges of 1 also, right?
Yes, yes,
So then it will look for lowest cost edges and it should not form a cycle. That is one more thing.
yes. Actually, when an edge has a endpoint in U and the other endpoint in the complement of U, then adding that edge, you can never form a cycle.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, here we told that U belongs to U and V does not belong to you, because if V belongs to you, then we are again, it's like a something like it will be a multiple edge or it will be a cycle.
Yes. So from the construction of the algorithm, we have always discarded the chance of getting any cycle. In Kruskal's algorithm, while adding an edge, we have to check whether adding this edge will form a cycle or not. If it forms a cycle, then we discard it and find some other edges with some greater edge weight maybe. But here, the way we are adding the edges, we can never get a cycle.
Yeah, one more thing, we are not in Pushkal's algorithm, we are not looking for the previous vertices, right? Here we are looking for previous vertices also.
Sorry, I could not understand.
In Pushkal's algorithm, we haven't looked for previous vertices. Here, if we take in Pushkal's algorithm, one will not be seen again.
Yes.
Once an edge is
Yes.
passed from one.
Yes. That is why we have to check whether adding that edge will form a cycle or not. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Because there we have not stored or we did not care whether a vertex is traversed or not. Here, the vertices we have already traversed are in a partition, and the vertices that are not traversed is in the complements. So that's it. Now, any question from anyone?
Which one is better?
Actually, from
I think both of them have the same runtime complexity, right?
but from some advanced data structure like the heap or the priority.
And one more thing, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, actually in Pushkal's algorithm, I think we are going for the path, right? Means I think it's BFS, right? But hello.
Yes.
Does it have any connection with BFS and AFS?
I could not understand your question. Please repeat.
Here we are means in Pushkal's algorithm we are looking for what do you call it? We are looking for the path, right? It's like we started from one vertex and we are going to the depth of that vertex, right?
In Kruskal algorithm.
Yes, ma'am.
In Kruskal algorithm, we are forming by adding edges. We are forming some forest, and finally we get some tree, and from there we argue that this is actually a minimum spanning tree by the way we have proceeded. And in Prim's algorithm, from the very first time, we grow a tree. And at the end of the algorithm, we get that this tree is actually a minimum spanning tree by the way we have proceeded. Then what is your question? It is not still clear to me. Can you please repeat your question?
Ma'am, are we using any pre-travels algorithms like BFS and DFS? Anything special in Kruskal's algorithm or Prim's algorithm? Is what I'm
No,
making.
actually not. Actually, have you seen or heard of Dijkstra algorithm for shortest path?
This one?
Dijkstra algorithm, have you heard of?
No, no,
For
ma'am.
Okay, then you will see in the coming days for any two vertices given and a graph given, the shortest path between the two vertices is determined via some Dijkstra algorithm, and this Dijkstra algorithm is very similar to this Prim's algorithm. You will show in the you will see in the coming days. But I don't think there is some use of BFS or DFS in these algorithms for determining MST.
It's actually the applications of DFS and DFS are finding saddest parts and minimum
Yeah,
spanning keys, right?
that is true. That is true.
Minimum spanning
But
keys, right? So we are talking about minimum spanning keys after that concept. So I thought, is there any connection?
in BFS and DFS, the graphs were unweighted, right? There was no concept of age weight.
Yeah,
And-
yes, ma'am.
And here, the main thing is the ages are weighted, right? That is why you can introduce the notion of minimum spanning tree.
If it is weighted also, we can apply BFS and DFS, right? But we will not take into consider weights.
Yes, that is why the graph traversal and this finding minimal is slightly different. Any more questions? Hello.
I think, ma'am.
Okay. Then I'm ending here today.